In Ontario, the last 3 COVID hotspots under strict stay-at-home orders will see restrictions ease next week. Starting on Monday, Toronto and the neighboring Peel region will be in the grey lockdown category, but the stay-at-home order will be lifted. That will allow some businesses to open their doors for the first time since November, though gyms, personal care services and indoor restaurant dining will stay closed. The North Bay Parry Sound District will return to red, the second most restrictive level. Health officials say cases are still high there, but progress is being made. And health officials in New Brunswick say all residents who want to be vaccinated will be able to get their shot before the end of June. That province is also easing restrictions because of a steady downward trend in infections. Starting Monday, the entire province is shifting to the less restrictive yellow level. It means residents can expand their bubbles, dine out at restaurants, and cross regional zones to play team sports. Well, Alberta isn't there yet, but with cases and hospitalizations declining, that province moved into step 2 of its reopening plan this week. And today marks 1 year since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Alberta. Since then, more than 134,000 Albertans have tested positive, and many of them work in meat plants. The Olymel pork plant reopened this week after an outbreak infected more than 500 workers. 3 of them died. Several more are still in ICU, and unvaccinated employees are anxious about going back to work. As Heather Yourex-West explains, labor leaders and the industry say it's time they were given vaccine priority.
Workers at Olymel's pork processing plant are back at work 2 weeks after the industry's deadliest outbreak of COVID-19 shut the facility down.
I feel bad for the guys who work there. Most of them are my friends.
Workers are saying it is so sad to go back to work. I am frightened to go back to work.
At least 6 Alberta meat processing plant workers have died from COVID-19 over the last year. 51-year-old Benito Quesada and 67-year-old Hip Bowie worked for Cargill in High River. 50-year-old Henry De Leon and 35-year-old Darwin DeLoc worked at Olymel. 2 other workers have not been identified. One worked at Olymel, the other for JBS in Brooks.
It's important for Albertans to understand this. There have been outbreaks in meat packing plants all over the country throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. It is only in Alberta where there have been tragic fatalities.
There has been at least 1 other COVID-19 related death involving a meat processing facility outside of Alberta. But the outbreaks in this province have been among the country's biggest and most deadly. And we don't really know yet why. What we do know is that a year into this pandemic, workers in these facilities continue to face incredible risk.
If you look at the entire supply chain, I would say the most vulnerable workers are right in the middle in processing because things are tight, things are intense. Working conditions aren't great for people, but they are great for a virus.
It's why the industry is calling on provinces to prioritize these workers in the next phases of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout.
Given the proximity of how the workers operate in the facilities, they're just more susceptible to transmission of COVID.
BC and Ontario list essential workers in Phase 3, a population not scheduled for vaccination until late spring or summer. Alberta's plan so far does not prioritize essential workers, but the province says they could receive vaccine in the summer if there's adequate supply. And so workers here and at meat processing facilities across the country will wait, doing what they can to be safe, but knowing after losing beloved co-workers like Darwin DeLoc, that safety cannot be guaranteed. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.